This is about everything.
To the Hulu and Disney Plus bundle.
This is why we're perfect together.
Hang on.
Epic adventures on Disney Plus.
You're ready for an adventure? This is just the beginning.
And stories you'll love on Hulu.
What did you say? It's dazzling. Love it.
Hulu and Disney Plus. Better together in 2023.
So brilliant! Spot on.
All of these and more streaming soon.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Cosmic Culture, the channel where we talk all things major movie and television news, theories, breakdowns, and much, much more. A brand new promo for Disney Plus featured footage of Loki Season 2, including an action shot of Tom Hiddleston's Loki wielding a new magic weapon, as well as a couple other shots, and one that is particularly interesting. We'll be breaking down those few shots, as well as talking about Loki Season 2 in today's video. If you haven't already, consider subscribing and turning on the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the other major movie and television news updates happening daily here on the channel. You can also follow me on my other socials, Instagram at Chris M. Rosser and Twitter at TheCultureChris. Links to both of those can be found in the description below. So, while we currently do not have an official release date for Loki Season 2, this is now the second time we've gotten footage for Loki Season 2, both times appearing in what I'll call a bundle teaser. That's where Disney Plus, and in this case Hulu, ESPN, and Disney Plus, put in a trailer submitting all of the things they have coming up, and Loki has been a part of that now twice. This is similar to Loki Season 1 when we got the first Disney Plus trailer that had WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, as well as a quick snapshot of the Loki first season. But here we are again getting some new images, and two of them are actually extremely compelling and exciting. One showing Loki's abilities and weapons, and one showing a very interesting scene with some pretty particular backgrounds. We'll be diving into both of those. But we'll start with this one, which shows Loki wearing a Revolution era tuxedo. So we're going back in time here, which makes a lot of sense. The TVA, the Time Variant Authority, which is now run by a different Kang than the He Who Remains we were introduced to, has left our new variant Loki from Season 1 in a very peculiar setting, one where his newfound friend Mobius no longer recognizes who he is, and his, we'll call her love interest, variant Loki female version, Sylvia, is also kind of gone in space, as she sent him back to the TVA, she kills He Who Remains, and now we see the big changes. This particular image that comes from this block trailer, we actually saw them filming when we had leaked images of the set, and they were wearing these older tuxedos. We know he was with Mobius in this scene, so at some point, hopefully pretty early on, they're going to team back up, and they're going to start traveling time in order to find some answers. Now, what answers exactly? That's going to be a huge question, and at the end of this video, I want to talk a little bit about the Loki Season 2 plot and storyline, which, given a lot of the rumors and leaks we've heard, is going to be pretty spectacular and insane. But first, let's talk about these other two images, as I promised. The second one we're going to talk about is Loki with the knife and with the magic going around it. It's an action sequence. Although I did say it's very, very exciting to see, there's not necessarily much to break down from it. And since it's a block trailer, it's just a half a second that it's on the screen. But I kind of speak for all of us when I say Loki is certainly a fan favorite, and these action sequences where Loki's using his magic, which is always very amusing, are something we are all looking forward to. This last image is one that I find extremely peculiar. Now, think about the TVA, and we'll talk about the image in a second, but as I preface this, think about the TVA and that it only exists as a singular unit. It exists outside the different universes. There aren't multiple TVAs at a time. There's just the one unit. During Loki Season 1, the TVA was run by this group, by this trinity that nobody seemed to know, and it was really He Who Remains behind this idea of these figures who are going to be ruling time as we know it. We did see at the end of Loki Season 1 that those three figures had now been changed and are just one Kang, who's very clearly a different variant of Kang, and the three were gone. With that being said, from this image, we have a broken statue on the floor or on a table, since we see kind of Loki's knees there, and Loki sticking some kind of object through the center of a mosaic with those 3 members. Now remember, this is a uniform TVA. Those 3 members don't exist in the new TVA, and they're not from a different universe, which might be one's first thought to the solution. Well, this is just a TVA from a different universe. No, the TVA exists outside of time, potentially in the quantum realm, potentially somewhere between the quantum realm and the universe. It's very difficult to say exactly where, and maybe in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania we'll learn a little bit more about where the TVA is, although most of us are relatively convinced that it's in the quantum realm. But that is an interesting point and an interesting question. If these 3 were altered by a different Kang taking over the TVA, 1, why have they returned, and what is their relevance? Are there actually 3 beings? Is this somehow He Who Remains returning? We do know, and if you don't, you should be aware that Kang has an enormous ability, and that is the ability of time travel. Kang himself actually has no powers. All of Kang's powers are from technology that he's been able to either create or go and obtain from time travel. He takes these abilities, he takes these objects, these technologies, brings them back in time, and conquers and rules. In one storyline for Kang, he goes back to ancient Egypt with these upgrades, with these powers from the future, and becomes a king of Egypt, a pharaoh of Egypt. That's one of the things that Kang does. Now, we're also aware that we should be expecting potentially to hear from the Council of Kang, which in the comic books is a group of Kangs who protect the greater good of all Kang variants, which sometimes even includes taking out Kang variants. We see in Loki Season 1 a statue that is on the floor and 2 other statues that stand, which potentially could be the Council of Kang. A little Easter egg towards that. Also hard to say, but we do see the statue broken on the ground here, although this is also very clearly not a Kang statue, but it's very difficult to say. But I will say, yet again, that this is an intriguing photo because those 3 kind of weaving the timeline into one timeline, the sacred timeline, as we learned from He Who Remains, are no longer in the picture as of the end of Loki Season 1. So I'm curious about their return, and if maybe this means a different Kang, or a good Kang potentially, a better Kang variant, ends up back at the throne of the TVA, for lack of a better term. As I mentioned, before we finish off this video, I do want to talk about the craziness that is currently set for Loki Season 2. One, with all of the different variants and things we're about to learn from Kang the Conqueror and Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, we might get a lot of information that will be helpful for Loki Season 2. But we also have some very strong leaked information that says Loki and Mobius are going to have an appearance in Deadpool 3, which is going to be a time heist film. So whether it's for a brief moment, Mobius goes back in time or to the timeline where Deadpool's time traveling, tries to zap him out of existence like they're trained to do, and Deadpool somehow gets their time travel devices, their multiverse travel devices, and kind of goes and does the whole movie without them, or whether they're an actual part in the movie is yet to be seen. But appearances by Deadpool and Loki and Mobius all together, whether in Loki or in Deadpool, are definitely a very interesting connecting point. I'm also pretty curious about the TVA and its purpose, since the entirety of the TVA and its existence pre-Loki Season 2, pre the death of He Who Remains, was to keep other universes at bay. Well, now that the multiverse has been expanded and the universes exist, the TVA's purpose is no longer to destroy branching realities and stop Nexus events from happening. Their purpose was to stop more Kangs from coming. Well, a different Kang's in charge now, and that might not be their purpose anymore, since we know the multiverse is in fact open and going kind of crazy, as we've seen in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, Spider-Man No Way Home, and soon in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Lots of food for thought. The MCU is about to get wild. Phase 5 is just around the corner. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania will be kicking off a lot of wild things very, very soon. But for now, all we can do is sit around and wonder what exactly will be coming once Loki Season 2 hits Disney+. Thank you guys so much for watching till the very end of the video. If you have any thoughts, questions, or comments, consider bringing them down below, and we can have an awesome little community conversation. Also, don't forget to consider subscribing and turning on that notification bell, and I'll catch all of you guys in the next one right here on Cosmic Culture.